Hello and welcome to the Dits on Wrestling podcast, the Raw Navy's only pro wrestling pod, part of Project Dits. Welcome to the project, and welcome to the show, as always. Anthony, how are you, buddy?
This was a tough one this week.
Yes,
This was a tough one. We are getting to the point. I made this comment earlier, maybe like episode 1 or episode 2, where I was like, oh, like this week was harder than last week, and I feel like I'm going to say that every week. But legitimately, that has been true. And as I think you will allude to in your SmackDown episode later this week, this was a tough week for us. I don't know if it was just as we're starting to wind things down, but then get them ready for the pay-per-view, or if it was just genuine writer's block. But yeah, I like how it came out. I love the ending to the show, but I definitely found this to be my most difficult episode to write to this point. It was tough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put this into perspective, and I'll go in a little bit more detail when we come to SmackDown on Friday. But I think on average, every show I've written so far has taken me about 2 hours. And that's with little distractions as well, because I'll always have something on TV in the background, and yeah. Mm-hmm. But it tends to flow. The moment I start writing it, it just flows. Today, when I was going through it, it took me 10 hours.
Whoa.
And I had to keep going back. And then there was a few segments that I was literally stuck on, and I'd write a couple of words, and I'd just be staring at my phone, and I could actually feel my blood boiling. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm just going to have to put it to one side and just come back to it. And eventually, when I hit like the back end of the day, like I think the kids were doing something, so they were distracted. I mean, the wife was out at the shops, and she was just able to just go, right, here we go. And it just went click, click, click. And I finished my last 3 segments. I was like, thank God for that. At least there's only 1 week left, and we can fucking call this thing and walk away and never speak of it again.
Right? Like, it's been a blast, but it's definitely been, like,
it's
mentally
hard.
taxing. Yeah, it's hard and challenging, and usually I'm the same way. Like, I'll start, and I haven't timed myself to see, like, how long each one is taking, but I've been pretty much like, oh, okay, here's how the open starts, and then I'll do that, and then next thing I know, I'm, like, done. Then I'll go straight through it. So from the very opening segment to the very end, done and dusted, one shot. This one, yeah, I did, like, the opening recap, and then I wasn't sure on the opening recap, and then I was like, fuck, what should open? And I had, like, 3 different potential opens, and then also I was still struggling with the thing that I've spoken about for the last several weeks of, like, how I could go in multiple directions with the way I booked several things, and this was the episode that I had to make a call. Like, I had to decide, okay, we're either going left or we're going right, and that was also weighing on me, and so I did, like, the first couple segments, and then stopped, and then did, like, the next segment, and then stopped, and then did, like, 3 segments, and then realized I had, like, too many matches, and then I had to scratch one and rewrite some stuff, and then I stopped, and then I started, it was, this one was one for the ages. This is, this episode, and, I mean, this series, yeah, it's a fucking blast. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I'm loving the ratings that I'm getting from the Dowpod Observer. I'm crushing the ratings every week, but it's definitely wearing on the old soul. It is.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what the real writers go through.
I was about to say I can actually relate to them, kind of. Obviously, we don't have the pressures of having to appease networks and Vince. But yeah, oh my God, like it really is stressful. I can't really like hammer that point home anymore. Like, it's like when my blood boils, I know, obviously anybody will know that is you at like peak anger. But I was just staring at that fucking set. It was a couple of segments actually. It wasn't even just the one. I was like, oh my God, like I'm not even like I'm gonna DM Anthony, and that's it. I'm just gonna like, you do yours tonight when we record, and I'll do mine during the week on my own. And I'll just speak it to the camera, and away we go. I was like, it's just not happening today. But I got there in the end.
I woke up and I saw the DMs, and I was like, uh-oh. And based on, like, the time at which I saw them combined, I mean, I did the time conversion in my head. I knew what time it was over there, but the timing of it and the verbiage you used, I was definitely like, uh-oh.
Oh, dear. I've got writer's block.
And then I don't know if that got in my head, because yeah, like, usually I'm I mentioned this offline. Usually I do the writing on like Thursday night or Friday night. This week I did it today. And I don't know if like that also threw me off, or like me reading about your writer's block like got into my head and gave me writer's block. But yeah, like I sympathize with your struggles and empathize completely, as I had some of my own. And I'm just flipping through my notes right now and looking at all the scribbles I have because of all the shit where I was just like, no, I can't do that. That's stupid. Or I was like, oh, this can't be a match. Like, oh, man.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start on Monday this week and do a segment a day.
Oh,
That's
okay. Break it down.
I'm going to try and do that for the final, the go-home show to SummerSlam. I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll see.
I'm not worried about my go-home show because everything is like kind of set up to where there's only certain things I can do. I just got to decide on like what's going to be said and what's going to happen. But that show is like almost written naturally. I say that now, and then next week I'm going to be like, this was the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Well, I've got one huge angle planned.
Kurt Angle's coming back?
No. If I could, I would. If I could get him back, I would.
Amazing.
No, I have one big angle planned for the go home.
Ooh.
I want it to be huge, so that's going to stress me out making that as perfect as it can be. But you'll love it. I know you'll love it.
Oh, nice! I'm excited for what it could be because there's one definite thing that I for sure would love, and I'm very excited for that.
Yes. However, this isn't about me.
Nope.
It's about you. It is Raw.
As it should be.
It shouldn't be.
Well,
Absolutely not. So, I mean, we said last week, we're not doing recaps on here anymore. We're forcing you to go and listen to previous stuff, which is, right. There is a Pod Observer, of course, as you said, that Justin has thrown together, guest podcast here on Project Dits. So go and check that out if you want a overview of Anthony's last episode of Raw, or actually go and listen to the episode itself, and obviously you'll get a more deeper understanding of what's going on. But if you're coming into this blind, obviously good luck. I'm sure you'll still enjoy it, but just for a little bit of context, just go back and check out the other episodes, because it'll just start to make a little bit more sense, because you do have a lot of moving parts. I think people will be in there like, what's going on? But I hand the floor to you, Anthony.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So you've tuned in to the USA Network, and we get the Raw intro. The show starts. Plenty of pyro. Everything goes off. Forgive me for laughing. There's things going on camera that you're not seeing because this is obviously like an audio podcast, but there's things happening visually that are causing me to chuckle. So apologies for that. Every time.
Sorry.
So we get the Raw intro. I'm closing my eyes now so you won't fuck me up. So we get the Raw intro. The theme hits. We get to the show. Pyro's going off. Fireworks are going off. And we get a bit of a video package recap, kind of like what we saw last week. We see Paul Heyman aligning himself with Io Shirai. We see a returning Becky Lynch and the gauntlet laid down for a challenge for this week for the #1 contenders match for Asuka's championship. We see the Intercontinental title picture getting a little murky. We saw Finn versus Ali. Finn got the win, and then we see Ali challenge AJ, and they agree to, if Ali wins on Raw, he gets added to the Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam. If he loses, he retires. And then we see, of course, the ending to the show, which was just chaos. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns were supposed to fight Imperium for the tag team titles. Buddy Murphy was ambushed in the back by Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, Aleister Black, and Ricochet stormed the ring, got into a fight with Seth and Roman. They scattered, and then Andrade and Garza came out and attacked Barthel and Eichner. We saw Walter get attacked by Cesaro after Cesaro challenged Walter earlier in the night. So we get a little bit of a video package with that. And we also get some match info for the show. Main event of the show tonight will be Io Shirai versus Becky Lynch for the #1 contender rights to face Asuka for the title at SummerSlam. And then, of course, we have AJ Styles versus Mustafa Ali. If Ali wins, he gets added to the SummerSlam Intercontinental title match, and that becomes a triple threat. If he loses, he retires. And those are the only 2 officially announced matches. So we get a little bit of that. The commentary team talks about it a little bit. And then Seth, Roman, and Buddy come out to the ring dressed in all black on black suits and ties as they have the last several weeks, along with their black sunglasses, because again, douchebags and bad guys wear sunglasses indoors, especially at night, and that's what these 3 are. They get in the ring recounting what happened last week, and Seth takes the mic and talks about a travesty that happened last week on Raw, and that travesty was that he and Roman had a tag team title match against Imperium when they were brutally attacked and ambushed by those 3 losers, Samoa Joe, Aleister Black, and Ricochet. They cost us the chance to embarrass Imperium, which is what we were going to do. We're here to show that everyone on this show doesn't belong in the same league as us, and we wanted to take those tag team titles from Imperium. And even though that's still what we want, Imperium's going to have to wait. Buddy takes the mic, and he calls Samoa Joe a fat disgrace to WWE and wrestling as a whole. Exactly. And that Samoa Joe doesn't deserve to be here. 70% of the time, he's a commentator. He's not even on the active roster, but he is on the active roster, but he's not. Who knows? It doesn't matter. Samoa Joe attacked him last week when all he was trying to do was get his cell phone from the back of a limo. Buddy challenges Samoa Joe to a match tonight.
Ooh.
Roman Reigns grabs the mic and says he's still trying to figure out who Aleister Black and Ricochet even are. And the only reason that anyone has even heard of Aleister Black and Ricochet is because Roman and Seth and Buddy made them famous over the last several weeks by beating them up on Raw. He just wants to let them know that, it's okay for them to be nobodies and okay for them to be losers. But if they're smart, they'll keep their noses out of business that doesn't concern them from now on. They leave the ring and we go backstage. We go backstage and we see the Street Profits about to enter the GM's office. Ooh. That's right, that's my office. And as they reach for the handle, another hand reaches for the handle. The camera pans out, and it's Andrade and Garza and Zelina Vega, also at the GM's door. Street Profits ask, what the hell are you guys doing here? And Zelina says, well, they're going in about a tag team title match. And the Street Profits say, well, that's super funny because that's what we're about to go in there for. We haven't gotten our, champions rematch that we deserve since we lost to Imperium. All champions have it in their contract that they get their rematch, and they want to invoke that clause, and they want their rematch. It's owed to them. They haven't gotten it. And Zelina says that opportunity should be null and void, and it shouldn't even count since Andrade and Garza beat you guys last week. You don't deserve to have that title match. And Street Profits what does that mean? That doesn't even make any sense. And Zelina says the Street Profits talk a big game, but when push comes to shove, and then she pauses and she gets in the faces of Ford and Dawkins, and she says, but when push comes to shove, you guys really don't want the smoke. Oof. Big words to the Street Profits. Ford gets super, super, super heated, and he says, you know what? Let's do this. It'll be us versus y'all tonight. If y'all win, you can have our tag team title shot rematch. Zelina Vega smiles, and says deal, shakes forward and Dawkins' hand. Then we go to commercial break. Commercial break from Snickers, of course, main sponsor of the show, because why not? They're delicious. Back from commercial break, we see Samoa Joe arrive. Charlie runs up to go to talk to him, and he cuts her right off before she can even say anything. He says, I already heard about the challenge, and I accept. And he tells Charlie that he's going to break Buddy Murphy tonight, and that's it. And he pushes the mic out of his face, and he keeps walking into the arena. We go to the ring, and time for our first match, and our first match of the night is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler. Nakamura comes out, and he's back to his original NXT theme music. He's also not wearing a jumpsuit anymore. He's just rocking the pants. Very similar to NJPW, aka New Japan Pro Wrestling Shinsuke Nakamura. And he's also reintroduced as the King of Strong Style as he enters the ring. So that's cool. And whether it was the new name change or just he was feeling good tonight, Shinsuke Nakamura beats the ever-loving piss out of Dolph Ziggler. And he wins the match, not by submission and not by pinfall. He wins the match after pinning Dolph into the turnbuckle corner and forearms Dolph repeatedly in the face and knocks him unconscious. And the referee stops the match and awards Nakamura the winner as Dolph gets knocked the fudge out. Charlie comes to the ring to interview Nakamura, and much like with Samoa Joe earlier in the night, Nak grabs the mic, and before she can even get a word in, starts to give his piece before she can even ask a question. He takes the mic and he says, you know, what AJ Styles said to him several weeks ago, you know, really resonated with him. And of course, AJ told Nakamura he was basically like a nobody and he didn't know who he was. And, you know, he'd fallen so far from when he first met him. Things like that really kind of, you know, shot at Nakamura's pride a little bit. And when AJ said that to Nakamura, he took that to heart and he decided no more games. He realized that since coming to the main roster, he had lost himself. But now he found what he wants and he has direction. And then he drops the mic and he leaves with nothing more, nothing less. And he leaves. We go backstage to Becky Lynch. She is loosening up for her main event match later tonight. Of course, her match with Io Shirai. It is the number one contenders match for Asuka's title. The winner of her versus Io Shirai tonight will go on to SummerSlam to face Asuka. Becky Lynch is in the locker room doing her thing. Paul Heyman walks in. She tells Heyman that, you know, this is the women's locker room. What are you doing here? And Paul, you know, shrugs it off and says, oh, no worries. There's nothing in here that I haven't seen before. Heyman asks Becky how important her legacy is to her. And she goes to answer, and Heyman kind of like, you know, cuts her off. He's like, no, it was more rhetorical. And he tells her, because when she loses to Io Shirai tonight, that legacy is done. It's over. And he understands she came back last week, and she wants to, quote-unquote, reclaim what is hers, but she's in over her head, and she isn't ready for Io Shirai. She needs to go back home, take some time, evaluate the state of Monday Night Raw, and when you're really ready and when you're really sure of things, then maybe you can come back and, you know, see where you belong. And he pats her on her knee as he says that. And as he pats her on her knee, Becky grabs Paul Heyman's hand and she twists it, putting Paul Heyman in obvious pain. Becky tells him to not touch her ever and to get out of the locker room. Paul Heyman, you know, cowardly, okay, I'm so sorry. He leaves. He turns and he leaves. And as he leaves, you know, he's holding his hand and he's in obvious pain. But as he leaves the locker room, we see the emergence of a slight wry smile creep across his face. That sheepish grin that he gives creeps across his face, emerges through the pain as he exits the women's locker room. And we go to commercial. Second commercial. Another big sponsor, Viagra. Good commercial for that. Back from commercial. Snickers and Viagra. That's the demographic of this show. People who like Viagra and people who like Snickers. That's
all
what
you
this show
need
is
to
about.
get through the day.
Exactly. There's nothing else. It sets basic sustenance right there. It's 101. Back from commercial break. We have our second match of the night. A match with major implications. We have AJ Styles versus Mustafa Ali. We get the recap from what's happened the last several weeks. AJ insulting Ali their first night together on Raw after the draft. Ali beating Rey Mysterio and wanting respect from AJ Styles, and AJ not giving it to him, not giving him the time of day. And then, of course, Ali losing to Finn Balor last week in a match where the winner faced AJ Styles at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental title. Ali, of course, lost. And then in a desperate plea to finally validate himself to himself or to the community or to Raw or to AJ Styles, whatever, creates this stipulation to fight AJ Styles tonight again. If Mustafa Ali wins, he is in the Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam. That Balor versus AJ match now becomes a triple threat with Ali added. But if Ali loses tonight, he retires. Finn Balor is at ringside for this match, obviously very keen on the results of this match, because if Ali loses, he gets AJ Styles in a one-on-one match at SummerSlam. And the announce team asks Finn how he's doing and what his thoughts are for this match. And Finn comes right out and says it, shoots right from the hip, no pun intended. Right from the beginning, says he hates AJ and wants to take the belt from him. But he's rooting for AJ in this match because if Ali wins, the title match at SummerSlam becomes a triple threat, and then his odds of winning that title are lessened because there's another person added to this match. So he wants AJ to win, and he feels bad that Ali would have to retire, but he wants the Intercontinental title, and his best chances of getting it are in fighting AJ one-on-one versus having a triple threat match at SummerSlam. This match is high intensity right off the bat, so much on the line. AJ was sending a message to Ali last week when he tapped out and beat Cedric Alexander and then locked in. Yikes. Lacked in the calf crusher is not proper phrasing. That's my Bo Ballas right there. He locks in the calf crusher after the match on Cedric Alexander, shouting into the camera at Mustafa Ali. So AJ is pumped up for this match. He really wants to retire Ali for all the disrespect. Ali slapped him in the face multiple times. It's kind of made him look like a fool. And Ali, of course, is fighting for his career and for respect. So it's a big fight. AJ hits Mustafa Ali with the Pele kick and then goes to the ropes to taunt Finn Balor, telling him, that's for you, that move's for you. That's a little taste for what's going to happen at SummerSlam. AJ and Finn, jaw back and forth a little bit. And AJ gets a little too distracted with Finn and forgets about Ali, who gets up. And he hits AJ with a Poison Rana. For those of you who don't know what a Poison Rana is, it's basically a Hurricane Rana, but instead of AJ facing Ali and getting hit with a Hurricane Rana, AJ's back is to Ali, so he basically flips him backwards and then spikes AJ right on his head. Spikes AJ hard. AJ's dazed. Ali then follows it up with a DDT. AJ starts rolling. He's in the ring. He's in the corner, on the ground. Ali senses it. Gets up to the top rope, and he hits the 054 and gets on AJ, and he pins him for the 1, for the 2, and just as the referee's hand is about to hit 3, Finn Balor pulls the referee out of the ring. Son of a bitch, Finn. Because, of course, he doesn't want that triple threat as it lowers his odds. Ali sees this and is beside himself. Finn's trying to act like, I don't know what happened, referee, so forgive me. As he's doing this, Ali gets up, sees what happened, and he hits a suicide dive onto Balor. Hits Balor, clips the referee just a little bit, and the referee falls down. In the ring, AJ gets to his feet. He's still a little dazed because, again, he got spiked with that Poison Rana, and then he got hit with the DDT, and then he got hit with the 054. So he's just starting to recover a little bit. Gets to his feet. Doesn't really know what happened. Sees, the ref out there, and Balor and Ali. Doesn't know what happened. And then he gets rocked with a Kinshasa to the back of his head by Shinsuke Nakamura, who then stares at him, rolls out of the ring, goes to the announcer's table, takes the Intercontinental title, and leaves. AJ's knocked out in the ring. There's some chaos on the outside, and Shinsuke just knocked out the champ, took the belt, and left. Ali heads back into the ring, sees that AJ is still down. He doesn't know what happened with Nakamura. He just thinks AJ is still down from being hit with the Poison Rana, the DDT, and the 054. So he sees AJ is still down, drags him to the corner. He hits another 054, and this time he gets the 1, he gets the 2, and he gets the 3. Mustafa Ali gets the victory against AJ Styles. Ali is elated. He celebrates. He heads backstage. He's super pumped. AJ gets up, again looking dazed. Doesn't really know where he is or what happened. He just knows that he lost. But he's like kind of wobbly, woozy, goes to the announce table to get his title, and his title's not there. And he's looking around like, where's my title? Where the hell's my title? He's looking confused. He's looking angry. And then you can tell that he kind of gets told what happened because all of a sudden he yells, "What? What do you mean? What?" Yells, looks around, storms backstage. We go to commercial. Come back from commercial. AJ is enraged backstage, yelling for Shinsuke Nakamura, yelling for anybody. How could this happen to me? Where's my title? Where's my belt? He's looking everywhere. Have you seen Shinsuke? Have you seen Nakamura? Have you seen my title? Where's my belt? He gets stopped by Charlie. She's interviewing everybody tonight. And again, before Charlie can get a word out, AJ cuts Rob and he says, "Where's my Intercontinental title?" And Charlie's like, whoa, like, I just want to interview, like, how are you feeling right now? You know, what's going on? And he's like, how do you think I'm feeling? Like, I just got blindsided. I lost this match and my title's gone. He says, I had Mustafa Ali right where I wanted him, and then I get attacked and I get my title stolen. You know, what the hell is that? And Charlie says, well, you know, that's not, like, completely true, because it looked like Mustafa Ali had you beat until Finn Balor pulled the referee out of the ring. He's like, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're watching. Nobody asked for your opinion. You're no help. I don't deserve this. I'm going to speak to management. And he storms off towards the GM's office. Yeah, I'm getting some potential work this week. Storms off to the GM's office. We go back to ringside, and the announce team is talking about, you know, what just happened. You know, what's the plan now for the Intercontinental title? You know, AJ's obviously upset. Finn Balor showed what's up. Ali won the match. He's in the picture, but now the title is gone. Where's the title? Where did Nakamura go to? What's his motive? What's going on? As they're talking about this, Cesaro's music hits, and he comes out, comes to the ring, and he wants to know where Walter is. He hasn't seen Imperium tonight. He hasn't heard from them. And he challenged Walter last week to a title match this week. He didn't hear anything. He hasn't heard from anyone. And they start shitting on him and Imperium and just talking about how they're soft and they're cowards and they don't practice what they preach and all that kind of stuff. Alexander Wolf comes out for Imperium. Cesaro smiles because, you know, he beat him last week. And Cesaro's talking to Wolf and he just asks him, you know, where's your leader? I challenged him last week. I heard nothing. So then I attacked him last week and I pummeled him and I left him laying in the ring, writhing in pain, and I've still heard nothing. So it seems that Walter isn't like the man of honor and character and leadership that he claims to be. Wolf has a mic with him, and he says, unfortunately, Walter is back home in Austria receiving treatment for his knee after Cesaro, of course, chop blocked him in that knee last week and then locked him in the sharpshooter as Raw was going off the air, and Walter suffered some injuries. Wolf isn't going to get into the details, but he's back home receiving treatment for that knee, and Walter wanted Wolf to extend that message to anybody that asked. And he also wanted Wolf to give Cesaro a personal message directly from him. And Cesaro says, okay, what's that? And Wolf says, Walter wanted you to know that he accepts your challenge for the Universal title, but instead of having it this week, he wants that match to take place at SummerSlam. Cesaro says, you know, he prefers to win the title on a big stage, on a major pay-per-view, in front of more eyes, so he accepts the challenge. He accepts those terms, and we now have a booked match for SummerSlam. Universal Champion Walter will be facing Cesaro at SummerSlam. Boom. Match made. Next match we get up after commercial break. Andrade Almas and Garza versus the Street Profits. Again, this is somewhat of a number one contenders match for the tag team titles. Garza and Almas beat the Street Profits last week, but then Street Profits wanted to basically kind of cash in, for lack of a better word, their title rematch clause as former champions. Garza and Almas got a little mouthy before the show started tonight, and so that's how this match came about. So the winner is essentially the number one contender for the tag team titles. This match is a good fight, a good back and forth, and the match ends as Andrade and Garza once again hit the spiked hammerlock DDT that they debuted last week. They hit it again on Montez Ford, and as Andrade goes to pin Ford, Dawkins rolls up Garza, and the referee counts both of them for the 1, the 2, the 3. Dawkins celebrates, Andrade celebrates, but they're both kind of looking at each other like, you know, what the hell happened? So they look to the referee. The referee's trying to explain the situation, like, basically, like, You both got a pinfall. You know, if the guys you pinned were each the legal men. You pinned them both. You know, they start arguing with the ref. And then they start arguing with each other. They're not happy that they both got like the win. They don't understand what that means. They're not fans of each other. They start brawling. A fight breaks out. They're going back and forth, throwing each other into the apron, into the glass partition, into the announce table, all that kind of stuff. It's getting intense. And then Montez Ford grabs himself a ladder, sets that ladder up, climbs to the top of that ladder, and he hits a suicide dive onto Garza and Andrade and Dawkins in the process. All four men are laid out on the ground. Nobody knows what's going on. And then Imperium's music hits. They come out. It's Barthel. It's Eichner. And they, again, you know, restate their Imperium stance about, you know, being honor and, you know, being for honor and doing what's right by the sport of professional wrestling in the ring. And they say that they won't let emotion overcome objectivity and rationality. They want Garza and Andrade after the attack that they suffered at their hands last week. They want them, but they also recognize that the Street Profits deserve a match. And because they recognize both of those things, and because they fear no one and they fear no challenge, Imperium challenge both Andrade and Garza and the Street Profits to a tag team title match at SummerSlam, triple threat match. And then they said, and they point out, you know, since you brought out a ladder this week, we find it pretty interesting. Let's make it a ladder match. So we've got another match for SummerSlam, triple threat, tag team title ladder match book for SummerSlam between Imperium, the Street Profits, and Andrade and Garza. Match is being made all over. We go to commercial break. This commercial is for KFC, because that's another big thing. Viagra, Snickers, and KFC. That's what my demographic loves. We go to the fourth match, Buddy Murphy versus Samoa Joe. Buddy Murphy comes out, and Seth and Roman come down with Buddy, of course. Joe enters second, gets a mic, and says that he figured Seth and Roman would be here. He figured they would come down, you know, with Buddy. He figured Buddy would bring his friends. So Joe decided, you know, ahead of time that he was going to invite a couple friends of his own. So, of course, Aleister Black and Ricochet come down to the ring, and they're on the outside for this match, as Seth and Roman are on the outside for Buddy in this match. Good fight, a good back and forth. Joe really gives it to Buddy, beats the hell out of him like he said he was going to do, but Buddy is a terrific wrestler, and so gives it back and forth. Joe sets up Buddy Murphy for the Muscle Buster, ready to end it. Yes. He again said he was going to break him. Yes, Muscle Buster bringing it back. He said he was going to break Buddy Murphy tonight, sets him up for the Muscle Buster, brings him out of the corner, turns, and as he turns, Roman Reigns runs into the ring and spears Samoa Joe. Black and Ricochet jump into the ring, so does Seth. And eventually we got all six men brawling with each other again, as we've seen multiple times in the last several weeks, and it's just all-out chaos. They're fighting, they're hitting each other, no moves, just punches, just fights. These guys all hate each other. The fighting doesn't end until Seth Rollins grabs a mic, and it's just finally like, all right, that's enough, that's enough, that's enough. We've been doing this over and over again. Neither of us are getting anywhere. I'm sick of it. Me and Roman and Buddy, we've got big plans, and you guys just keep getting in our way week after week. We tried to prove a point, but you guys just won't go away. So we need to do something, and we need to finish this. We need to end this. And since matches are being made left and right tonight on this Raw, let's make a match. Let's finish this. So Seth says he and Roman and Buddy challenge Samoa Joe, Aleister Black, and Ricochet to a six-man fight at SummerSlam. Not just a match, a fight. And Samoa says, you really want to end this fight? Samoa Joe says, you really want to end this? You want to be done? You really want to end this fight? And Rollins says, yeah. And Joe says, okay, then let's do this match at SummerSlam, but let's put this match inside Hell in a Cell.
Ooh.
And Seth Rollins accepts. And all six men stare each other down as we go to commercial break. So we got another match booked for SummerSlam.
Fuck, ladder matches, Hell in a Cells.
Yeah, I like myself some good. There's certain matches that deserve a little bit extra, and I'm adding it to it. Then we get to our fifth match, a.k.a. the main event, a.k.a. Becky Lynch versus Io Shirai, the number one contenders match for Asuka's Women's Championship. This match is more of a fight than it is a match. Again, Io has been, lauded by Paul Heyman as being the best pound-for-pound women's wrestler in the world, but she's a tremendous striker, a tremendous fighter. Becky Lynch is the man. She can brawl her way with anyone. And Becky hates Io and what she represents and stands for, and Becky's trying to make a name for herself, and Io is just this cold, emotionless fighter at this point. The match ends when Io Shirai hits a moonsault onto Becky Lynch. Becky's prone on the ground. Io hits the moonsault. But as she hits it, she overshoots it just a little bit, and Becky catches Io on the ground and locks in the disarmor. But Io Shirai refuses to tap. And Becky is wrenching back on this arm. And she looks at Heyman. She makes eye contact with Heyman. And she tells him, I'll pop her shoulder right out. I'll pop it. I'll do it. Heyman just looks at her. He just looks at Becky. And Becky yells back at Heyman, tell her to tap. Tell her to tap or I'm going to break her shoulder. Heyman just says, no. And he shakes his head. Becky dislocates Io Shirai's shoulder. Pops it right out. And then gets off. The referee immediately tends to Io. And Becky's not concerned about Io anymore. She gets up. She's telling Heyman, that's right. I'm the man. Io wasn't ready for me. He tried telling me, I was done. I was washed up. But no, she can't contend with me. She turns around to see Io, and Io Shirai is in the corner telling the referee, just shaking her head, no, no, no. You can tell the referee is like, hey, you're hurt, you're trying to communicate with her. She's shaking her head, telling him she won't quit, telling her no, or telling the ref no, shaking her head in defiance. She pushes the ref away, goes to the turnbuckle, and she pops her dislocated shoulder back into fucking place. Becky's in shock. The man doesn't know what to do right now because she just locked in her finisher on Io Shirai, popped her shoulder out, and Io popped it back in and wants more. Io just stares at Becky with that ice-cold, emotionless stare that she gave Kairi and Asuka when she attacked them a couple weeks ago. Becky looks down at Heyman, and Heyman is he's got that shit-eating grin on his face smile that he gives when Brock Lesnar does Brock Lesnar things, and he's just smiling, looking at Becky like, I told you. Becky looks back at Io, and Io charges Becky, goes for a lariat. Becky ducks. Io hits the ropes. Becky goes for a clothesline. Io ducks. Io hits the ropes again and lands a shotgun drop kick to Becky right in her chest and knocks her to the corner. Io rushes Becky and is raining down forearms onto Becky's face with her good arm. Just raining them down, blow after blow after blow. For those of you who watch New Japan, imagine Shibata was laying down those forearms like he does in the corner. That's what Shirai's doing right now. Laying them down. Becky is slumped in the corner between that shotgun drop kick, hit her right in the chest, knocked the wind out. She hit her head on the middle turnbuckle, and then between those forearms that Io's been raining down, Becky is slumped. Io runs back to the other corner, rushes Becky again as much as she can because her shoulder is still in pain. She hits the double knees right into Becky. Becky's still slumped. She kind of rolls out of the corner into the middle, or into kind of like moonsault rangy territory. Io Shirai climbs to the top of the turnbuckle. Dislocated shoulder, pop back into place and all, in obvious pain. And she clutches that shoulder. She's clutching that bad shoulder to her body. She clutches. She's got her back to the ring. She goes for the moonsault. But she pauses because she knows she can't hit the moonsault with that shoulder. She can deal with the pain, but she doesn't know what's going to happen. She can't hit the moonsault. So she calculates. She turns around, jumps off the top turnbuckle, and she hits Becky Lynch with Kairi's insane elbow using her good arm. Lands it right into Becky Lynch's heart, covers her, and gets the 1, gets the 2, gets the 3. And Io Shirai beats Becky Lynch. Heyman rushes into the ring. Medics rush into the ring to tend to Io. Io gets up with the medics, and she's just staring blankly at Becky, focused, determined as ever. Kind of like how Ivan Drago stared at Rocky when he told him he was going to break him, or that he must break him. Basically like that. The medics help Io to her feet, and they help her out of the ring. Paul Heyman grabs a mic, and he gets down on his knees, and he gets right next to Becky, who is just out of it. He gets down on his knees, and he kneels next to Becky, and he grabs her hand with his hand, almost in the same manner in which she grabbed his hand earlier, except he's not twisting it, he's not squeezing it like Becky did to him. And he leans down, and he bends his head down next to her with the mic, and he tells her, I told you, this isn't your house anymore. The man is done. This ring and everything and everyone inside it belong to Io Shirai now. And then he drops the mic, smiles at Becky with that shit-eating, smiling Paul Heyman face, leaves the ring as Becky is laying motionless in the ring, credits roll, and Monday Night Raw is over.
Yowza. In the DMs, you said you pulled out an absolute fucking thing.
Yeah! She pops her fucking shoulder back!
Wow.
What do you think?
That's a good Raw. That's a good ending as well. I fucking love that. And you'll know when it comes to SmackDown, it's going to be a case of great minds think alike.
Oh.
So just, you'll know the moment I say it. But, fuck it. That was very, very good. For considering how stressful it's been putting it together and stuff. You wouldn't have thought it. Let's put it that way. You wouldn't have thought it. Lots of moving parts. Some matches made for Summerslam. Gimmick matches as well. Who doesn't love gimmick matches? Yeah. Hell in a Cell and the ladder match as well. Oh.
I like how the show came together. I like how everything came together leading up to it. But everything for me, not in a bad way, was just overshadowed by the main event. And I with this whole thing, obviously we're doing things like because we like it and we're fantasy booking this, and in an ideal world, not even perfect world, like we should be liking the things that we're creating. But I got goosebumps reading that fifth part because I just like, how badass as fuck would that be? Like imagine like Becky Lynch turns around and Io is just like, no, pushes the ref down, and just like thrusts her shoulder into the turnbuckle to pop her shoulder back into place. And then it's still hurt. It's not like she pops it in and like everything is good. And then she can't hit the moonsault. So what does she do? Ball, fuck it. Insane elbow. Nails it. And then gets the 1-2-3 with the move of one of her best friends who she turned her back on to stake her claim as number one. Oh, so dope. I feel like such a juice. I feel like I'm like a musician who's like playing his own record and is like, I'm fucking awesome at guitar. Like, but I did that. Just got like, I like the whole show, but yeah, as soon as I finished it, I wrote that last part. I DM'd you right away. I was like, yo, like my main event is a banger. I just thought it was so dope. Got me excited.
I like the thing I actually really like about this as well is everything that you say, and I don't know if it's the same the other way around. I can picture like everything that you're saying and kind of like form the footage in my head. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. And I do that with you. That makes it just even cooler because I can see the visual of Io like smacking her shoulder into the turnbuckle and hitting the inside. Oh yeah, very good main event. Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yep.
Out of nowhere, I thought you were done with him.
Exactly. So did everyone.
He's back.
Yep.
Imperium a lesser presence this week.
Yep, a little bit.
Almost got some GM.
Almost.
You teasing bastard.
Almost.
Give the people what they want.
Almost. Everybody wants more GM.
Nah, come to SmackDown. If you want GMs, come to SmackDown.
Yeah, he's heavily involved on SmackDown.
I was all right last week with GM stuff. I wasn't really.
No, there. But you play a pivotal role. You may have had less camera time, but you were heavily involved in a major thing. Several major things.
Yes.
A main major thing.
Maybe major thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I flirted with that a little bit. I was like, let me, potentially. I'm still debating whether or not, I'll come on camera. We'll see what happens next week in the go home show. And yeah, Imperium had a bit of a lesser presence because want to give everybody else some shine. I feel like they've been really dominating Raw, and as well they should. They're an amazing group, and they hold a lot of hardware in terms of the tag team titles and the Universal Championship. But yeah, Walter had to get some work on that knee after the attack from Cesaro, and I wanted to give some more shine to some other feuds and the other storylines that were going on in SummerSlam, and wanted to bring everything full circle. And also, like, I mean, not that I didn't want them to compete with each other, but Becky Lynch versus Io Shirai deserves, regardless of what the ending was, that match deserves to be the focus for a show and shouldn't have to compete with anything else. So yeah, that's where that came from too.
I like it.
Glad.
I have some competition on Friday, I think.
Okay. All right.
So we'll see. We'll see how Justin rates your show this week.
I'm hoping for a good one. He gave me a 4 last week. I think with the main event alone, it should be at least a 4. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Every single week that you do stuff, and the fact that you've just said that you want to give some shine to some other people, you have a really deep roster.
I do. It's extremely stressful.
And this week was the only time that I struggled with the lack of depth in my roster, which was stressful. I was like, I have nobody. Like, it's just like to put somebody into a throwaway match.
Yeah,
I can't really do it because there's nobody there. It's
tough.
But
that was what bailed me out this week and last week. I was doing like matches with certain stuff, and that's where I was like, okay, I can put Dolph Ziggler in this match this week. I put Cedric Alexander into a match last week. I had Rey Mysterio in a match, and like even like those dudes, like I still feel bad because I'm like, oh shit, like I feel like they deserve more, but I can't work them in now with like the 5 weeks and then the show I got going now, like, so that's stressful. But yeah, again, it's on the other side of that is your scenario where it's like, hey, I've got these like sweet dudes that are like 10 guys, and then everyone else I fucking hate, so I don't want to use any of them.
Yeah.
It's tough doing this thing. We keep talking about it. It's fun as hell, and I'm enjoying it. I love that you came up with this idea and the structure. I'm enjoying it, but it's definitely like, not that doing the regular pod stuff isn't work, but this is like work. I feel like I'm punching the clock, and I'm like in for work.
Yeah. I don't like work either. That's the problem. But at least this one's fun.
That's true.
Once you get going, once the cogs start turning.
Yeah, and it's
you
rewarding.
Come up with main events like that.
Exactly. When you come up with something good, you've had some crackers and some bangers. So have I. I hope. I feel weird saying it for myself, but I am very happy with it. I'm happy with everything as a whole from the Raw perspective. But yeah, this main event really got me. I was just sitting there and I was like, because I knew Io was gonna win. I knew that, but I was like, how does she win? And I was like, she can't just beat her. Something's got to like happen. And because I also wanted Becky to still like look good. And then I don't know what just hit me. I was like, what could Io do that would be like amazing? And I was like, oh my God, she dislocates her shoulder, but she pops it in and fights anyway. I was like, that's amazing. That happens. Yeah,
it's good.
Good times.
But what I will say is great minds think alike with something.
Interesting.
That happened on Raw.
Interesting.
Just you wait and see. Just you wait and see. And you don't have to wait that long.
No.
It's only 4 days away.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Wait 4 days. And then you get SmackDown Night 4. The penultimate show.
The penultimate. Sorry. That one creeped out.
Sell it. It's the penultimate show, baby.
The penultimate show.
Yeah, it's only 4 days away. Only 4 days away, and it's an overbooked horror show.
Ooh.
I don't know. To be fair, I said last week was overbooked, and you said it was.
You
good,
did.
So
I liked it. I could have lied though. I could have been.
You could have just been nice.
I was.
Yeah. I only got 3.5 stars though last week.
That's true. That's good. I mean, it's not as good as my 4, but it's still good.
Unbelievable.
But it's a different. Again, yours is a sports entertainment show. Mine is, a bit of the sport of professional wrestling.
And that doesn't change on Friday either.
I like it. You got a good mix. Yeah, I think you're too hard on yourself. I like it. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good time. And then
I know there's something you'll like on Friday, and I think you already know what that's gonna be.
Bo Ballas.
Bo Ballas. Kilograms.
We almost made it a whole episode without doing either one of those voices. I can't believe it.
Can't do it. Can't do it. It's impossible. So, yeah, next step is, of course... Well, actually, the next step, really, is the Dalpod Observer's review of your show on Wednesday, and then mine on Friday. But to get to there, we have to end this episode.
We do.
So, Anthony, plug away.
I am Anthony, co-host here on the Dalpod, Raw General Manager for the GM mode that Dits and I are doing, and I'm also the host of my own solo pod titled Wagons and Warpaths. It is a weekly Buffalo sports talk podcast focusing on the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres, but mainly, especially with how this COVID offseason has gone, mainly focusing on the Buffalo Bills. You can find me on Twitter at Wagons_Warpaths. Give me a follow on Twitter. Give me some engagement. I say it every week. I'll settle for a follow. Or if you want to go the other route and, like, promise me your firstborn kid or sign, like, a blood oath. And, again, anything that's just basic level partnership, I am down for. Feel free to rate and review and subscribe to the podcast if you like it. And I also have a somewhat of a fun announcement, and that isn't just a somewhat. I'm an official partner of Daily Buffalo 716 and a contributor to Buffalo Fanatics. So that's some cool stuff. If you're a Buffalo sports fan or just a sports fan in general, thank you for the claps. Check out both of those things. And, making some moves there. Like, I made some moves in my GM mode and making some moves in the pod world, and that's me. Good times.
Killing it.
The new additions threw off my normal rhythm of how I do my plugs, so I'm gonna have to get that down. But yeah, I think that's about everything.
Yeah, you have a pretty rehearsed plug.
I don't. It's just
very
once
impressive.
Once I start it, it just flows and like I get into it. And then announcing this part, I was in my head and I was like, oh crap, I have to say the new stuff. I haven't done that before. I don't have a rhythm yet.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
But you nailed it.
Thanks.
You nailed it like you're nailing your pod.
Ah, man, thank you so much.
And
it's
raw.
a good podcast to clean to, I've been told by someone who was a co-host on this podcast.
It's good.
Thank you.
I know it's not spring, so you probably don't do as much cleaning, but it's still...
Yeah. Summer cleaning's a thing, though, sometimes.
I mean, it should be.
Yeah, every day. Why not?
Every day.
Everyone.
Every day. So me, you can find me at Project Dits over on the old Twitter machine. And Dits on YouTube. Obviously, that'd be a very random name to have somewhere else. Live streams every Wednesday.
Dits on YouTube. Find me on Instagram.
What the fuck is this? Live streams every Wednesday and Friday for NXT and SmackDown, and then pay-per-view live streams as and when they drop. I think the next one I'll be doing is Takeover 30, which is going to be good. That's going to be a good one. Yeah, lots of stuff coming out. Dits on Gaming is going to debut within the week. My Pocket Morty's series is going to debut within the week, hopefully. And I've started actually using my Patreon, whatever the hell you want to call that thing. It's all set up. It all looks nice. The tiers are all set up. So go and check that out. Head on to Patreon.
Yes.
Hit Project Dits. Just check out those tiers. Exclusive content for you. For you, the listener, and you, Anthony, if you want it. But then,
me.
you gotta do it, man. Pledge to me. Or you can head to TeePublic.
Whoa.
Search for Project Dits. And we have a whole host of merch on there, covering all the logos from Project Dits and some original designs as well. We have a Cameron Grams t-shirt and...
buy your fucking merch.
I'm in the middle of making another one as well now.
More.
Yes,
Get the merch.
Get the merch.
Get the fucking merch.
Fucking merch.
Fucking buy it.
But that's really it. That's all my plugs for this week. That's all my plugs for this week. So, well, until Friday...
Yeah.
We'll see you then. Have a good week. Anthony, take it away. Say goodbye to these wonderful people.
Bye.
Nice.